Hi everyone, it's Dr. Gina Joe, or Dr. Gina Jefferson, Professor of Otolaryngology, Head and Neck Surgery. This week, I'd like to offer some tips for those of you applicants that identify as LGBTQ. This stems from a recent conversation I had with a friend and colleague who is mentoring an underrepresented applicant that identifies as non-binary and is really struggling with what to wear during the interview process. Well, I have some strategies for you to consider. Tip number 1, the most important advice that I can provide is to simply be yourself. Remember that the interview process is two-way. It is for the benefit of the faculty interviewing you, the applicant, but remember, it's also for your benefit so that you can identify a program where you will fit in and thrive. You are trying to determine if the program is a good fit for you to learn otolaryngology. Remember, these interviews are very short. If you are spending time concentrating on trying to be someone that you are not, you are wasting time and really limiting yourself and asking the questions you need to ask in order to determine if this is a program where you will fit in. Truthfully, you really have to be yourself in order to gauge how the flow of conversation proceeds between you and faculty and you and the residents to really learn if you can fit in their team environment. And please remember, residency is a 5-year endeavor. If you are trying to be someone that you are not, you are going to struggle, especially given the stressful situations that are bound to be part of your training. Tip number 2, whether you identify as LGBTQ or not, really the interview apparel should be conservative. Female candidates are definitely not wearing frilly blouses, low-cut blouses. Male candidates are definitely not wearing bright-colored suits. The main gist here is that you do not want the faculty and residents interviewing you to be distracted. You want them to have a conversation so they can identify the stellar attributes that will make you an excellent candidate at their program. No matter who you are, what you wear should not be a distraction. Tip number 3, this is even a challenge during in-person interviews, but even more of a challenge in a Zoom interview format to determine the vibe in the room. Your personal life is just that, personal. While there are some things that you have listed and described in your application that might suggest you belong to the LGBTQ community, we are not allowed to ask you certain things. So technically, what you divulge is ultimately up to you. A word of caution, whatever you do discuss in your personal statement is of course fair game during the interview process. However, the topic of conversation in the interview should not be about one's sexual orientation. If you find my tips helpful, share them with your friends and continue to follow me at Dr. Gina Joe on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter.